It's okay to miss them because when you miss them, they are with you. Um, Talking to people, even if it's for one time in your whole entire life and you never see them ever again, makes you feel good. So, if you are like me and you have a tough day and you have a loved one that you miss, talk about them. Make yourself feel better. Make yourself feel good about make yourself make yourself feel good about missing them. It's okay to miss them because when you miss them, they are with you. When you think about them, they are with you. When you talk about them, they are with you.
Hi everyone, I'm Lexie Callies. Do you feel the squeeze of caring for an elderly loved one and school-aged children? Then welcome to the Sandwich Stories. Let's dig in.
Hi everybody. It's Lexie Callies with Sandwich Stories. I hope you're having a really great week. Today is interesting. So it's my son's first day in 8th grade. So that is a big change in our life. Same school, but the oldest grade in his school. Sending him off. And of course, you can't, I have friends that have little ones and they're like, oh, it's the first day of kindergarten. And they get to walk them into school and all the fun things like that. And of course, as an 8th grader, you don't want your mom to do any of those things. So it's a little bittersweet, but that's okay. It comes with the territory of being a mom and letting your kid grow up and let them be out on their own, which I am always for. I feel like some of his friends don't know how to do things without their mothers. But with that said, also, this past Sunday was the 5th anniversary of my dad's passing. And it was kind of sad, but also not sad at the same time. So I went to church. They talked about taking things out of your life that maybe just subtracting some things every so often. And part of it was subtracting your cell phone when you're out and about. I do this. I am obviously a talker. And as an example, I was at Costco getting new tires about a month ago. And while I was there, I had to wait an hour. I had already done the Costco shopping earlier in the week, so I didn't need to walk around. So I got some lunch, and I thought I'd just sit there, look on Facebook or put my earbuds in, listen to my book on tape. And I hadn't done that yet. And this very nice lady came by, older lady, was looking around with her cart. She had already gone shopping. She had food in her hand. She was going to sit down and eat lunch also. And the Costco, if you haven't been in the food court at the Costco, it is a gauntlet. It is every man for himself and all their buggies and all the things. And even if you think you have a place saved to sit, someone has swooped in and taken it from you, even if you leave something there. So this little old lady was kind of looking around, and it was just her, and I had half a table and there was nobody sitting across from me. And I told her, you can sit down. It's just me. Please sit down. Stop. You don't need to keep looking around. It's fine. And she was so nice. And we literally sat and talked for an hour. The Costco people did not call me or text me to tell me that my tires were ready. And I found out all sorts of things about this very nice lady. She had moved into town because her second husband had passed away about a year ago, and her grandchildren and her daughter live in the town where our Costco was. And so she moved into a little retirement village nearby, and she was doing her shopping. Now, I do have to say, I think she has toilet paper for a whole year because I don't know how she would use that much toilet paper, but she was ready. And it was just nice to sit and talk to someone. And I feel as if she probably needed it too. You're new, you don't know anybody, your husband has passed away, you've moved halfway across the country because she said she was from Virginia to be closer to family. And, I don't know who she talks to every day. I don't know. Supposedly it's very active where she lives, but maybe she still feels like she's the new girl. And I have noticed in assisted livings that it is like middle school all over again. There's always a queen bee and all the girls that follow her, and there's the popular kids and the nerdy kids and the jocks and all those kinds of things. And it happens in assisted living too. So who knows? Maybe she's the new girl and she just feels that there's no one she's really connected with. So it was just nice to sit and talk to somebody and listen to her. And wow, she is quite the trailblazer and had a career of her own, was not a typical housewife of the time. And it was just so special to sit and talk to her. She reminded me a lot of my mom. And so it's just editing and taking away and having the time to sit and listen to people and meet them and say hello. Because maybe that person just needs the hello, right? And so that also made me think of my dad. Like I said, he passed away 5 years ago this past Sunday. And I miss him. And sometimes I just need people to say hello and say, how are you doing? And sometimes I answer with the typical, oh, fine, thanks. How are you? And sometimes I answer honestly, which does catch people off guard because they don't expect that. They don't expect everybody to be honest. If I'm having a bad day or a sad day, I might honestly answer, say, you know what, I'm having a really tough day today. My dad passed away and I'm sad. And I think that's what we have to get to. I think we have to be okay with not being okay, even out in public. It doesn't have to be all the time, but sometimes you never know who will be there to talk to you and to make you feel better because you're having a tough day. There's not many people in my world anymore that would remember my dad's passing, that would know or remember my dad. A lot of his friends have passed away. I went and saw my mom on Sunday. I wasn't sure if I was going to bring it up with her. And oddly enough, I don't know if she was still in a dream state when I saw her because she did look like she was asleep in her wheelchair. But I asked her how she was doing, and she was saying she couldn't find Dad. And she was looking for him, and he had been in the kitchen and was cooking, which is typical of my dad and when he was alive. Always in the kitchen, always cooking, making something amazing. And but then she said they ate, and then she couldn't find him. So of course I kind of talked to my mom about it, and I said, are you looking for Charlie or are you looking for Don? Don was my grandfather. So I didn't know if she meant dad by Charlie or dad by Don, her dad. And she said Charlie. And so I kind of had to talk her through that maybe she wasn't going to be able to find Charlie. I had to kind of suss it out, figure it out if she was still kind of dreaming. And if that's the case, then I was going to let it go. Or if she really was with it and awake and really feeling like she couldn't find Charlie and was looking for him, then I had to walk her through it. I had to walk her through kind of guiding her, not telling her that Charlie had passed away, but kind of getting her to realize what was going on and what had happened. Saying, do you remember Charlie living here in the assisted living? And she would say yes. And I said, and do you remember what happened back in 2020? And she'd kind of say no. And I said, well, do you remember the pandemic, that there was COVID and there was a pandemic and everything shut down? And she said yes. And I said, and remember, we couldn't come see Charlie for a while because we weren't allowed inside, which is a whole nother story. And she said yes. And I think she started realizing what I was trying to get to. And I said, and remember, we came to visit him and you got to see him through the window and he smiled at you and waved at you once he realized who you were and he recognized you and, you left feeling really, really good about that. And she said yes. And I said, and then remember, about a week or two later, we had to discuss taking Charlie off medication because he had had pneumonia for 3 months and nothing was getting better. And she said yes. And then I said, do you remember that night I got a phone call and I had to come see you and tell you some really tough news? And she said yes. And I really didn't have the heart to say, sorry, Peggy, Charlie's passed away. Like, that just seemed heartless and cruel. And so my best was just to talk her through it and try to get her to realize what was going on and that Charlie wasn't with us anymore. And I tried my best. And I think I got through to her. I think she understood. I could tell her eyes were getting a little watery. She's not much of a crier, and that has always been the case. That's not even something new. She doesn't cry much. I do. I'm the crier. So as I'm talking to her, there's tears coming down my face, but I'm not beside myself with crying, but I am tearful and crying. But that's me. That's who I am. And so I had, with that, I did kind of look around afterwards to see if there were certain caretakers that were around that would have been around when my dad was there. There's one in particular. She was actually my dad's hospice nurse towards the end of his life. And I was hoping she was working that Sunday, but she wasn't. It was her. She works every other Sunday, so it was her off Sunday. But it would have been nice to see her and to talk to her. I did say something, and a friend of mine told me that I really light up when I talk about my dad. And I do. I smile a lot when I talk about my dad. I loved him so much. And she made the comment about how it almost seemed like I was proud of him. And I was. I am proud that he was my dad. I am proud that I got to know a man, a genius. I got to have that influence in my life, and I am thoroughly thankful for it. And I am very much like him in a lot of ways. Even my husband, I'll be doing something in the backyard, and my son needs help out. And I'll say, oh, we need to sweep off the back porch. And he'll start sweeping, and there are times when I'm like, what are we doing here? That I was like, that's not quite how you sweep, but okay, so I'm going to show you. And I show him how to sweep and I show him what to do. And my husband will say, oh, is this the Charlie School of Sweeping today? And I will say, yes, it is. It is the Charlie School of Sweeping because this is how you properly sweep. And this is how you properly clean it up. And you do it right the first time. And that is my dad. That is how I was taught. And that is how I teach my son. And so it's those things that I think, like I said, being able to maybe sit and talk to a stranger who meets you at the Costco is what you need. I was so lucky to have met that woman. And I would hope that if someone sat next to me and started talking to me, that they would say the same thing about me. That we had a great conversation. It was so nice to have met whomever. And to talk. Because I think for me, that's what made me feel better is that when I talk about my dad, um, if I find somebody who, at a restaurant and they will say something about Louisiana style cooking and I get the opportunity to talk about my dad's cooking and my dad's jambalaya and red beans and rice and gumbo. I hope there's a camaraderie that comes through and that it will make me feel better when I miss him, but that also I get to share a little of him with others. And I think that's what makes me feel better when I do miss him. I don't get to sail a lot. If I were sailing, I would think about my dad probably every single time and feel really great about it, but I don't sail as much as we used to. Every time I go to the beach, I think about my dad. I think about him. There's a photo that pops up in my photo history every day after my dad passed away. So it shows up the day after my dad passed away, and he is on the beach in a beach chair with an umbrella, just smiling. And you can see the water and the sand behind him. And that was my dad's happy place. And so whenever my husband and son and I go to the beach, I do think of my dad. And I think about him growing up around the area where we go to the beach. And sometimes I wonder what it was like back in 1946. My dad was born in 1946 in Alabama. And what that was like back then and how there was probably nothing on the water. And if there were, it was probably just a few little fishing shacks or someone's vacation home that was really small. And because the time you spent was really just really in the water. It was not in that big fancy house. So, yeah. So when we go to the beach, I get to talk about my dad. I get to talk to my husband about it. I get to talk to my son about it. I get to tell him about his grandfather, the grandfather that I wish he had had, and I wish that he had known and could have gained all the wisdom from. So it's my job to pass it on to my son through me with his stories and what I was taught, and how I learned from him. Because, as I found, talking makes it better. And I'm sure there's people out there who's like, oh my God, this lady sat next to me and all she would do was blah, 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 talk, 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 talk. Yeah, I'm a talker. I know. But I don't think I'm ever going to apologize for it. Talking to people, even if it's for one time in your whole entire life and you never see them ever again, makes you feel good. So if you are like me and you have a tough day and you have a loved one that you miss, talk about them. Make yourself feel better. Make yourself feel good about make yourself make yourself feel good about missing them. It's okay to miss them because when you miss them, they are with you. When you think about them, they are with you. When you talk about them, they are with you. So their spirit is always still alive. And I think that's what it was when I met that lady at the Costco. She told me all about her two husbands that had passed away. And I think it felt good for her to share and to have someone listen and to have her be able to remember them in a fond way. And maybe it's just a one-time passing. Now, believe me, if I see this little old lady at the Costco again, I'm going to stop her and I'm going to talk to her. But I doubt I ever will. But I am better off for knowing her and for meeting her and hearing about her life, her husbands, what they did. And I think that's what we need to do. We need to talk. So maybe when you're waiting, put your phone away. Look around. If there's someone there, say hi. You never know what could come up. You could end up knowing the same people because the world is small. I have found that time and time and time again. The world is small. You never know what kind of people that are sitting next to you and how you might have a conversation with them and realize that you have something in common or there's a connection. The world is small. So take the time, talk about your loved ones, and make some new friends. Because I did. Sitting at the Costco, eating a slice of pizza. And then my little old lady friend had in a hot dog that she just said was the best hot dog she had had in such a long time. And they are. Costco's hot dogs are good. And she was so happy with the price. I mean, you can't beat $1.50, right? With a soda. So yeah, I think that's what it is. I think it's, making connections, saying hello, and talking. It made me feel good, made her feel good. And had I not had to go pick up my car and go off to do another errand, I probably could have sat there and talked to her all day. But I got a good hour with her. And I'm better off for it. So I hope the next person who talks to me and I talk about my dad feels the same way. And if they're not, well, it's the way it goes. I'll feel better in the end, right? Okay. Song of the week. I hopefully pronounce the name of this band correctly. If I didn't, and you know how to pronounce the name correctly, I am sorry. This is an instrumental song. It is cool. It is chill. I almost feel every time I hear it, I feel like it would be really good in like scenes in a movie when people are just driving down the coast, but there's not, and it's just the song in the background. So maybe it's the end of the movie or the beginning of the movie, or there's just a moment where you just see the calm or the enjoyment or contemplation on someone's face as they're driving down the coastal highway. Hair blowing. I have a whole montage in my head. Hair blowing, scarf flying in the wind. Obviously, with the hair flowing and scarf in the wind, it's a convertible. And it's just a really fun, cool movie. but the song is called A Love International, and it is by Khruangbin, and that is spelled Khruangbin. Khruangbin. I hope I'm saying it right. But every time I hear this, I love this song. Like I said, it's instrumental. There's no words. As you can tell, I probably love an instrumental song. So if y'all have some out there, put them in the suggestion box. Let me hear your instrumental songs. I think they're cool. I even love instrumental versions of like popular songs. I think that's really cool. Oh my gosh, especially if it's a bossa nova version of a song. Oh, I am sold. I am there. So anyway, A Love International is the name of the song. So I hope you'll have a really great week. Talk to a stranger, put away your phone, make a new friend, talk about your loved ones. And you never know. You might have a connection with somebody else that you didn't know you needed. So I hope that helps. Okay. I love you guys. Hope you have a great week. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to Sandwich Stories. I really hope you learned some new things and enjoyed it. If you did, tell a friend, tell your mom, tell your sister, tell your dad, tell everybody you know to also listen. Maybe they'll learn some new things, how to help each other out, and find us at Sandwich Stories Podcast. Thanks so much.